contamination emanating from the source, you have your options of doing borings on site to figure for recovery. You just don't want to. That's where data guides the cleanup. Walking away, if it's all done tomorrow, we can walk away tomorrow. If it's not done, then it might not be emergency response. It's going to be other divisions within Ohio EPA. You still have ODNRs in play. They're still looking into it. Did they have breaches of containment and all that? They're withholding. I mean, that's something that's ongoing. We're here to help you. We really, that's why you're here. You want answers. We're giving you. As far as the delays, as it was put, yes, emergency response is 24/7. For dispatch, by a call to an 800 number, our dispatchers take, as they said, about 6,500 calls a year. They do a screening. Can't get to all of them, folks. Not at the drop of a hat. Screening was done, and the resident who made that call agreed. The information at the beginning was not a run red type emergency. It was, there's a problem, okay, I'll monitor on it, and then the call was made later on in the week. Made at the end of the night, the next morning some other calls were made, we were responding to other stuff. We got out here, when ODNR in this case did notify me directly, turned the truck and came to Vienna and worked on it. Worked on it through that night, got right up on it this morning. So there was a lag period, but it was screened out. There was a report made. The official report that came into our agency was at 5 o'clock on Wednesday, and we were out on Thursday.
What was the company fined?
That's still in the investigation. That's after the fact.
Yes, just a quick observation, because I don't know how you define spills, but I find it fascinating that you referred to of the, quote, thousands of spills that have occurred in the state of Ohio. Now, I'm not going to ask you to define spill. Is it 1 gallon of contaminated poison on the floor or 100,000 gallons of it? I find it interesting, of the thousands, quote, of spills that occur in the state of Ohio, that's a lot of spills. You know? Right.
You're right. If you call
that's
your
a
cat
lot of
stuck in a
spills.
tree,
And when you get that extensive of spill, you have to think of the competency or the concern of the institutions that are allowing these spills to happen. And that's a frightening number, thousands of spills. Just want to throw that out.
State law requires, under Ohio Revised Code 3750, as chemicals have what's called a reporting quantity. If a company spills in excess of that reportable quantity, they are obligated by law to report it to the state, the local LEPC, the local emergency planning committee, and the local fire department within 30 minutes of knowledge.
Please do it.
No.
Please do it. Please do it.
No.
For petroleum, it's 25 gallons or more land-based for any amount that impacts water in the state of Ohio that causes a sheet. Crude oil, 210 gallons. Okay? That is, does it always happen? No. That's why we look at 3750 violation. In this case, we are still evaluating if 3750 was violated. As far as your answer to those numbers of spills, yes. If anybody who calls up that 800 number files a report and is logged as a spill.
What is the 1-800 number?
The 800 number is 1-800-282-9378. During the daytime hours, it's answered by one of our dispatchers. After hours, it's answered by the State Highway Patrol on our behalf.
Excuse me, will they be using a dye to trace and track the spill?
We have done dye testing on some of the drain tile within the facility to find out and track, do we have, where's it emanating from? Have we dyed the creek? No, we know where it's located.
Have they pinpointed the exact cause, the place,
No,
the
that's
time?
something we're currently looking at and are narrowing it down. Yes.
This gentleman's suggestion that this oil may be coming from the Clinton Formation and it's not sort of oil that's coming in with the frackways. Are you sampling the oil to then compare it? Is it matching up with the oil that's coming here with the frackways in Pennsylvania, or could it possibly be Clinton oil like this gentleman suggested? Have you sampled the oil to fingerprint it?
That oil and the tank battery, it all coincides. Cooking oil, this oil is a weather type grit gas. To sample the tanks on location, that's going to be a mix of Ohio fluids, Pennsylvania fluids, wherever that came from. So you're going to have a mixed sample there. determine if it was from the Clinton. We would see, you would have to have a Clinton well that failed, or, you know, did they bring a load of production water from one of the local wells? That's why it would be hard to determine if it's, because it's a mixed fluid in those tanks. You know, the tankers can make multiple stops during the day, bring it to that facility. But we've narrowed it down to the facility that we're investigating where the source came from.
So you ruled that insecure.
The injection wells on location, like I said, we've inspected them, we didn't see any issues with those wells.
I want to know one thing. There's a guy with the, over in Youngstown, put his tanker, dumped it in a pool, and went to the Mahoney River. He's in jail now. What the hell's the difference between this?
And then he got charged, and that's how the process goes. And that's what once you understand, he didn't go to jail that night, he didn't go to jail a week later.
He made a hell of a fine.
After he had the investigation, after they charged him, after they did that's how the process works. You're presumed innocent and found guilty. That's our system of democracy. That's what we stand on. That's what will happen now. We're going to do the investigation, and we're going to do a thorough investigation. And that, I promise you, that you can take to the bank. We're going to hold these guys to that.
This was gonna happen
Sir,
4 years
I
ago.
handled that Ben Lupo case. That was mine.
So we
And
should-
we're putting
you
the
didn't make it up.
same due diligence on this case, and the next bill I go to will be applied. We're here to protect public health and the environment.
Mr. Police reported in the media,
Show the tape of the kind of problem and disturbances in causing the communities. This is pretty get political issue.
And I agree with you, it should.
Would you be willing to do
We're
this?
doing it, and I'm meeting with the truck, yes. We are working on a study, a group, Representative Michael O'Brien and I are working with,
We shouldn't have,
Don, no, we are working on legislation like, we want to make sure, yes, we're working with Don Marquez. But we are working with the group there to get some of the concerns that we have and bring them forward and try and get those enacted into law. We are trying, as technology changes, as new things happen, we are trying to implement in those to make them safer.
other states have made the, in this case, the drillers, the original drillers, take the frac material and rework it themselves and use it again. It's happening in the Southwest. Pennsylvania, or permit this to happen, they're smart enough that they know that.
We have Patriot Waters, and we have other technologies that are changing, and we are recycling some of the water. But sometimes when you recycle the water, make it lighter, you have to inject it harder, with harder pressures, which cause